Hi, my name is Dan Thompson. I'm with Technifab Products, and today we're going to discuss our automatic fill station, the AFS-01. This is what your automatic fill station will look like mounted on the wall. It needs to be mounted in a vertical position. It will not work in the horizontal position due to the sensors on the inside. It comes with bracketry. You can also use your own bracketry to mount. We used unistrut channel bracket and then mounted accordingly. The pattern on the back can be drilled in from there. There's a lot of different components and features to this fill station. I'll walk you through from where we've got here. Up at the top, this is your hard wiring. I'll show you a diagram of the wiring, but it is built to be hardwired. This is the hardwired receptacle for the power. We use standard US and NEC color coding, meaning black is your live wire, white is your neutral wire, green is your ground. You'll see there's a terminal above each one that the appropriate wire or coordinating wire needs to be landed. So your black wire's on the third one, your white wire's on the second one, your ground or green wire is on the top one. Connect those up correspondingly. There's a knockout on either side for you to route to wherever you want to hardwire this in. Working down, we're supplying from our bulk tank, which is what the majority of people will be doing as well. And you can operate up to 150 PSI. You will need a pressure regulator, as this unit is only rated for 125 PSI. So we have the optional pressure regulator in this setup to help support our large pressure from our bulk tank. So as you have your supply down, it would mount in through this. We also have a strainer. We strongly recommend a strainer. The inside of the unit does use cryogenic solenoid valves, and debris can cause problems with those solenoid valves, so we strongly recommend either a filter at your bulk tank or a strainer that we will supply with the unit. So after you have your liquid supply, over here you have, this is your liquid supply to your VGL. So your liquid will flow through here, in through the unit, out through here to your VGL, which is what this is traditionally used to fill. Also known as a cylinder, 180 liter cylinder, a dewar. From here, you also will have the vent. The vent from the vessel gets returned through here, through this, bottom portion connection to the fill station. There's also a one-way drain, as this is a non-VJ on the inside, which means you could see some frosting. You can have some water that can come out of there when it's defrosting or not being used. But all of the components on the inside are able to stand the moisture that would be generated from this unit during use. On the top, you'll also see an indicator light. The indicator light has two features to it. There's a green light, which will show you fill run. While it's filling, it's in use, and it will have a yellow strobe as well. The yellow strobe is used to indicate you're either done filling or there is some sort of a user interface that is needed at this unit. On the front of the panel, we have an emergency stop. If there's any sort of emergencies, any issues that the system needs to be automatically shut down, push this in, it will automatically shut down the unit. When you start the unit back up, it will restart at the home screen, very much like what you see here, and it'll have the existing use points that were input at the beginning when you were there. So if you changed it, it will go back to what was there initially. On the top, we have a 24-volt DC alarm contact as well that can be hooked up to your house system, and there's 3 different alarms. I'll walk through those in a little bit when we get to the screen, and that would indicate to your system that you've got some sort of an issue with either one of those 3 issues as well. Here's your power button, on and off. And then on this side, this is your vent. So as we supply our liquid in, then we've got our vent back, and then this vents on out to a safe location. Again, we strongly recommend that you vent any of the gases or vapors to a remote location or to a safe location so that all individuals remain in a safe environment during these fill processes. So our PLC has booted up, and we're now sitting at the home screen, which there's several different buttons located here. Your typical run, it's also called the run screen, but this would be your start. You also have a settings button, a help button, and a log in and log out, which is typically used when we're in our troubleshooting processes. So from the home screen, you can see here, this is where it's very simple, one green button. This is where you would start your fill cycle. You can get to your settings screen down here at the bottom, or you can get back to your home screen at any time. On the settings screen, there's two different possible buttons which you would use here. We have a maintenance mode and we have a set points mode. Your manual will give you the username and password that could be entered to adjust the points on this screen or get into either of these two screens. The bottom three, which are advanced configuration, diagnostics, and change password, those are, well, the change password is also for you, where you can edit it once you have the unit in your possession and you want to limit who has control or access to the set points on these. Advanced configuration and diagnostics would be used by Technifab if there was any troubleshooting that would be needed for your particular unit. So we'll go into the set points here real quick. Now that we're in the set points, there's two major set points that are available to be adjusted. That's your cryogenic sensor temperature threshold. The other one is your timeout timer. Both of these are preset at Technifab. They're currently set, the first one is set at 270 degrees, which is the temperature of your liquid. If you're starting to see warmer temperatures, which is what you would see in a gas phase, then that would give it a notice that says, hey, we may be done filling, we may have a supply tank issue, or depending on what's going on there. Timeout timer is also another safety feature that's associated with this. It's how long it takes your unit to fill from start to finish, so that it does not continue to fill if somebody walks away or if there's some sort of a failure in the system of some nature. As I said, it is set at 75 minutes currently. You can adjust that based on the fill time or the pressure that's associated with your bulk tank, or depending on if you're bringing in tanks that are half full or quarter full, they may fill at a different time accordingly. So these can be adjusted, and there is in your user's manual, there's a way to walk you through on how to adjust those, but it's simply typing in and putting in a new value. So I'll put in 75 again, and it's set where it is. But again, those are just simple touch screen options there for you. As we get out of here and we go back in, we're in the maintenance screen. And again, this is at the maintenance screen, you've got a cryogenic sensor reading, which is telling you what your sensor is currently reading. There's also a pressure sensor, which is how much pressure is currently the unit is seeing. And then you can manually operate your inlet valve, your vent valve, and or the bleed valves associated with the unit if you're going through some troubleshooting or wanting to test your unit to verify that everything is working accordingly. And if you do have any questions, you can always consult the user's manual or the owner's manual associated with this. All right, at this point in time, as I mentioned, the screen is booted up and we are ready to start our fill cycle. So we're going to hit our run screen. We have our supply hose hooked up to the supply side of our tank. We have our vent hose hooked up to the vent side of the tank. Both valves are open on the tank as well. So we're ready to start our fill cycle. So we've hit the button to start the process. We have a safety feature where there has to be a vent valve hooked up here to make sure that you're not just venting to atmosphere. It also allows a little bit of just a slight touch of back pressure on the system as well. The light turned green for us to indicate that we are in the filling cycle, and you'll see a green banner across the top which matches your light, and it also has your minutes countdown timer from when it will fail closed if the timer does default from the time that the vent or from the filling process is not completed. We'll come back once this dewar is finished filling, and we will complete the process. At this point in time, our dewar has finished filling, which is indicated by the yellow light up at the top. There's also this banner here on the fill station as well that it states dewar is full, close dewar hand valves, and press OK. So what we've done is we've closed off our liquid supply valve and our vent supply valve as well. So we'll press OK. So what's doing now is there's a bleed down process so that makes sure that we eliminate any pressure in the lines. Transfer hoses are bled, disconnect dewar fittings, and press OK. So at this point in time, we would undo our transfer hoses from the dewar, both sides. There, you would still see some frosting and some things like that that will be occurring with the lines. You'll also still see some cryogenic vapors that would expel from the lines as well once this is completed. So your filling cycle is successfully completed. You hit OK. And then what you would then again do, bring in your next dewar, hook up your supply line, hook up your vent line, start the process all over again. Your indicator light would turn green during this process. This would complete the dewar filling cycle. The timer, again, you would have the timer. If it went off, this would turn yellow. You would have a banner. You also have 3 alarm settings, which I mentioned earlier. First one is pressure transducer. So if you have an issue with your pressure transducer, you would have an alarm that would go off for that. The other one is your cryogenic sensor, which would be your temperature. If you have an issue with that sensor, you would see a different banner, but again, you would have a light and an indication that you've got an alarm issue there. And then we also have an input issue alarm, which happens if you have an issue with both the pressure and cryogenic sensors that are associated with the system. So those are your 3 alarms that you would see in this system. If something happened, again, as we've talked about the safety features of this unit, if something did happen and we needed to shut down our unit quickly, you would simply push in this, and as you can see, the unit powers down. If you have any questions, again, you can always refer to the owner's manual, or you can always reach us at technifab.com, or you can call us at 812-442-0520, and we'd be happy to help you. Thanks a lot.